Hey guys, how are you doing? I hope you're doing great. Today I wanted to show you 1 or 2 tips onto how you can sequence your practice. First of all, did you already have a look at our video for why developing a self-practice? If not, you can tune into this video just by clicking onto this link, and then you'll understand why it's important to set it up for you. And this video is actually helping you to understand how to do it. So I personally use the PlayPauseBe deck, and it's basically, like you maybe already know, it's a deck of cards where we have all the yoga poses on it. And why I think it's amazing is because ultimately we don't always have the inspiration. I teach yoga, yes, but I don't always feel inspired onto what to teach. And maybe from time to time I tend to repeat myself in my sequencing, and it kind of gets a little bit boring for my students. So what I love to do is actually set out my cards. And then just either select one card randomly, and I'm going to be teaching you 2 ways on how you can use the deck and how you can sequence it. First of all, for example, going to go with one pose, pick a card, and this is my goal pose. So one way to do it is to build a kind of a wave. And the pose is going to be at the top of the wave, so it's going to be your climax. And with this pose, it kind of gives me the instruction of what I need to build before getting to this pose and what I need to get rest on and relax after this pose. So this being my first pose, I'm going to bring it here. And for example, this one is forearm stand, so pincha pose, placing it down. And then I know that, for example, in pincha, I can see it. There's a lot of engagement that I need to have in my rib cage area, a lot of strength on my shoulders, proper balance through the elbows and the hands, and alignment throughout my body, which means that I want to have already been worked on my strength, on my line, and on my shoulders, which already gives me room to know what I can get into. And for example, if I look at my opening position, warming up position, I see that there's a lot to do with shoulders. So for example, I have thread the needle with me, I have the open chest, I have shoulder warm up, and these are all going to be benefiting for when I go into the pincha. So allowing the sequence to kind of build itself on its own using my deck. And then I can once again go through the cards, feel like, okay, I want to be doing a vinyasa, so I pull the vinyasa card out and I place it here, and so forth. I carry on with what I want to be doing, and whenever I reach to my goal pose, I now know that I've reached the climate. And ultimately, by having integrated these poses, this flow into my body, I should feel able to go into my forearm stand. When I have done this, I'm just going to push them to the side. I'm going to want to go into the second part of the wave, which is the cooling down. And so we saw that we worked a lot with the shoulder. We saw that we worked a lot with the lines. I also had a vinyasa, which helps me to come back into the mountain pose, finding the alignment, finding the strength of staying in the straight line, engaging abs and lower back, which will help me to stay up in my forearm stand. But now that I have done this, I also need to be releasing this line, this straight line, and also releasing all tensions that I may have built up in my shoulder and in my arms. So I'm going to be looking at cooling down positions, and it can be anything. Anything on the floor is ultimately poses that you want to use either to warm up or to cool down. I usually tend to lower the pace of the transition of my poses when I go into the cool down. But then again, it's very, very free, and everybody can do whatever makes sense for themselves. And so once again, going through my deck, I feel that there's a few poses here that I can use. I can see that they're working on their shoulders, releasing the line by bending into 2, going into a forward fold, and so forth. And so, for example, I took low lunge, I took seated twist and pigeon pose. Low lunge because actually the full version, when I can grab my back foot with my hands, actually allows me to open the space in between my shoulders and have a bit of release. Plus the fact that I've already worked on creating a strong ability to hold myself up. It means that my shoulders are already warmed up and open enough to go in this kind of positions. So I can also benefit from the work that I have been doing before. And then I've decided to go into a seated twist positions and finally into a pigeon pose. I could obviously add, and I will add, a twist, a happy baby, again, to break the line. Actually, feel free to, I want to add a coming down, a resting pose right after my forearm stand. So I'm gonna add a baby pose, not happy baby, but baby pose, fetus. And so right after my forehand, I'm gonna get into this baby pose, allow for my energy to cool down, come back to the self, and then I can go ahead with my low lunge, with my seated twist, with my pigeons, with my happy baby, with the supine twist, and all of the pose that I use as a cool down to letting go of the climax and slowly restoring the breath and the energy to come back into stillness for my last pose, the Shavasana. So this is one way that you can sequence. Another way that I can sequence, and I can use once again my deck to do so, is to actually use all of the indications that are already written on the deck. And so you see there's little points, and the little points actually indicates how strong the pose is, how intense. And let's say I'm feeling like having a little bit of a rest, then I'm going to be focusing on all those easy, less intense pose from my body, pick some of them out or all of them out, and then just go with 6, 7, 8, 12 pose of them and put them in a line, meaning I put them in a sequence. So you can always use the information of the cards in order to create a flow with how you want to feel. Saying we aim for a feeling, and it's not a goal pose, but it's a feeling. And with the information that I have here, I can build something up. The other really practical thing is that on the cards, we have also proposed and recommended some poses that you can do afterwards, meaning that if you already have those two cards out, you know that you can do them back to back. One thing that you're looking not to do is to go too quickly into completely opposite positions, meaning that if you do a forward fold, just take some time to come back into a neutral spine before you go into a back bend, for example. And same thing if you were to go into twist, we'd recommend that you come back first into an unmoving, completely still and long spine position, restful position, in order to go to not go directly into the other side of your twist. But these are mainly the two things you want to be paying attention to, and otherwise allow yourself to be creative, allow yourself to feel how it feels, and use this deck around us to create, to speak, to, even if the inspiration is not here, to create the inspiration from tools that we may have that are outside of us, but can also benefit the support inside of us. So I hope you enjoyed, I hope it was clear, I hope you benefited from this little video. Make sure to tune into why it's important to develop your own self-practice, and we hope to see you again in this channel. Feel free to subscribe if you enjoy what we're about and what we give out for you. And if you want more, if you want to go for the deck, for example, we have the link in the bio, so feel free to click on the link and order your deck. I'm Ilo from PlayPauseBe. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.